In the last episode of the season, pretty much the focus is on Janelle and how she made people feel, and her being very dismissive about how they feel, who they are, and it making it very awkward when you start digging around for videos about what happened past the reunion show and we learn the truth. So to begin, once again, we're introduced to a situation where people are asked to give an apology, and depending how you feel about it, they kind of give a half-ass one. Kira is confronted about what she said to Quentin, as Maria is confronted about what he said to Kira, and also Chris is confronted about what he said to Jessica, or at least about Jessica, in terms of her being confrontational. Now, going in order of who had the best apology to the worst, Maria seemed to genuinely be about apologizing about not only the delivery, but also the content of what he said. But outside of him, I wouldn't say anyone else really felt like they should have apologized, or else they might apologize for the way they delivered it, but the content they still firmly stand on 10 toes down about. Kira, for example, when it comes to the whole Quentin dating white girls thing, she doesn't really back down from it. She kind of alters it and says that, okay, maybe not white girls, or maybe like pale Latina girls since he's from Florida. And she, like Unique in the last episode, just digs the hole deeper rather than just has a proper apology and get out, or just avoid the whole baiting situation altogether. But what do you really expect? This probably wasn't the best show for her. So of course, when it comes to getting confronted about the things she said and done, it's not going to go well. But at least with Kira, there's some kind of attempt, and Maria, there is repeated tries to apologize, and from what we see, Kira does receive it, even if she still is very much hurt by what he said. Chris, on the other hand, he's straight up like, I shouldn't have gone off on you like I did, but I still said what I said. And with that, it's almost like an eloquent way of what Habibi said to Janelle, it's just now it's focused on Jessica. Even though I should know, Janelle does kind of get put into the situation a little bit, since, Jessica and Janelle were definitely close throughout the process. Even though, for whatever reason, nephew Tommy, at least in the digital exclusives on YouTube and also on the reunion show, he never addresses that friendship, which you'd think he would have, especially since for most of the other ladies, it seems like any type of bond they have is anti-somebody else rather than potentially a real friendship. But missed opportunities. Which leads to the whole Janelle situation. Janelle appears to be the type of person who, in order to build up her own confidence, she puts down other people. And when it comes to Katarina and Lee and what could have been with Quentin, she pushes the idea that all these other ladies are mediocre. That's why Quentin only focused on her. Not the fact that she was very much... I know some words I shouldn't say, so I'm trying to find the right one, and I can only say she took the initiative beyond what the other ladies did, who of course are probably more traditional in the idea that the man should pursue me and I shouldn't have to pursue them, rather than Janelle, who was very much on Quentin's ass whenever he wasn't in eyesight. But that aside, what we really get to see in this episode is that as much as you have to appreciate Janelle isn't willing to back down, never mind, she's not about this whole apologizing thing. She said what she said it the way she meant it, and if you don't like it, too bad. She also doesn't seem to realize everything she says with calling people mediocre. I think she even calls them the B word once or twice. That's not making the situation better. And as much as nephew Tommy wants to push the idea we don't have to like each other, we have to respect each other, I'm pretty much of the mindset that if Janelle don't like you, she ain't gonna respect you. And it seems there's no love lost between any of the ladies, especially since Janelle may push other people to hold themselves accountable, but she doesn't do the same for herself. But it is what it is. Which leaves what's happening between Aries and Phil, as well as did Janelle and Quentin make it in the end. Now, for Aries and Phil, for Aries, it's still the issue of, well, the main issue, there's apparently other issues that she doesn't go into, but the main issue is that stability wise, feels still a little suspect. And even though he makes it clear that he has a day job, he does have regular income coming in, he's also pursuing other things of his interest, she's still very much in that mindset where it's not good enough. So while the two seem to be dating and they're definitely cool, they're not moving forward despite some of the red flags or else issues that mainly Aries has with Phil. Now, getting to Janelle and Quentin, if you go based off of what happened on the couch, and then Quentin had some Instagram live Q&A, which I don't even know how I stumbled onto it, but I found out about it. From what we're told, things were bumpy after the cameras went off, and eventually it came to a point where Quentin, who, if you remember right, said he couldn't be with Unique or even Data because she needed healing. He says that he needed healing, and that's why those two didn't work out. Now, from what I've seen of the video, it seems that he's trying to keep it very respectful, almost to the point where he's taking on all the blame to protect her, especially because he probably knows what people are saying about her, so he's trying to not add fuel to the fire, but by him being very selective with his words and taking on all the blame, similar to, oh my god, I forgot her name, the woman from last year who we wanted so badly to find love, it definitely pushes the idea that there's probably more going on that they just don't want to have on camera or else be able to get circulated amongst the internet. So one side is taking all the blame, saying they need to heal, they need to do better, yada yada yada, when really the other person probably deserves so much more than what's being said, but maybe because they want to potentially protect them or else protect their egos, they're not going in or revealing what probably many of us want them to kind of validate our opinions, but it is what it is. Plus, one of the things that is interesting that was also not put on a reunion show but was released on YouTube is that the way Janelle was talking, if Herbert just stepped it up a bit, showed more initiative, Quentin might have been somebody who would have had a real challenge. But because Herbert decided he wants to be very chill, non-committal to some people's opinions, that's why Quentin she just kind of latched onto. But if Herbert was better, we might have had another love triangle going on, and potentially between Kat and Lee they might have had a better chance. So switching to the review portion, I must admit, fully recognizing that Janelle definitely was pushed to be the villain of the season, there's something about the fact that she didn't really give into pressure, she didn't apologize or anything, that just makes her likable to me. And not likable in the idea that I want to pursue someone like her or her specifically, but there's just something about her not giving a half-ass apology because of public pressure or guilt that just makes it so that whether you want to see her as a villain for the season or just a person who says what they mean and means what they say, I appreciate her. But at the same time, I very much appreciate everybody, whether it's Kat, Lee, or Kira, making it very clear that the things you have said go against a lot of what you put out there. And because of that, that's why we don't like you, we don't fuck with you. And her being cool with it, it was just too wonderful, even if in a bit of a toxic way. So the next highlight for us is just recognizing that Tommy probably doesn't know everything, so maybe when he's kind of shocked and appalled about what's going on, it's genuine and not just for the cameras. For a part of me thinks that Tommy is very much sold on what this what this series is supposed to be in terms of 30 plus year olds going up to 50 who's supposed to be grown, mature, sexy, and looking for love. And I think either the people involved with the production don't tell him the truth, or else he willingly is obtuse to the truth, and with that, when it comes to the reunion show, he is genuinely shocked and surprised. And if that is the case, I kind of feel bad for him in a way, especially since he is the consistent face of this show, and this is probably one of the biggest things outside of the Steve Harvey show which connects him to anything that's mainstream. So, with that in mind, him being the host and him being completely out of touch with what's going on with these people, never mind maybe not seeing the decline that's coming with this show, it's worrisome. But as shown in the previews for Ready to Love, Make a Move, he, I don't know if he might still be a producer or executive producer, but they switched the host, so even though I'm admittedly hesitant to watch that, at the same time, I am very curious about whether or not part of the issue truly is with this franchise Tommy, or it's just pretty much the whole franchise needs to be thrown away. Which leaves one last thing, and it's just the inability for these people to do apologies. And then, I get it. Whether you're talking about Maria, Chris, Kira, Janelle, whoever, in Habibi, there is a major difference between genuinely wanting to apologize to someone, similar to Maria, and then being pushed to because of guilt or public pressure, like damn near everybody else. And I think the major issue is for me is that if you're going to give in or do an apology, face the facts that everything you've done has probably been recorded. There's no need to be general, be specific. Recognize that because this is all being filmed, this can't affect your business and your personal life, so don't BS it. If you truly mean it, do a proper apology. There's no reason to do a half-ass one, then kind of back out because the person isn't giving you the right type of receiving of it, or because you just dead ass are just not really into it and want to just move on. It's not going to look good for you, and granted, I don't know if anybody's career has ever been affected by being on this show since they don't really do follow-ups, especially that variety, but I'm of the opinion that acting a fool on this show, showing you can't apologize, never mind your personal life, but your business, I can't see why, unless that person just really wants to work for a black-owned company and there's no other ones around, why they would work with you if you don't know how to interact with people, apologize, and say what you mean and mean what you say. Off the cuff, when the cameras are on or are not on. Overall, after watching this season, I can fully understand why they're making a spin-off of Ready to Love, and I think it's just to see if the franchise can be saved or not, or whether or not this whole thing has to go. For between Make a Move, which is doing away with Tommy, bringing back some old faces and having it where they can't be eliminated, they're eliminating just men, and what they try to do with Last Resort in terms of having everybody in the same space so that there's not these outside distractions. Clearly, they're trying to figure out what can work, what can be saved, and whether this franchise has a future. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is probably one of OWN's highest rated shows, which, as time goes on, I don't know if that's saying much, but there's no denying that this is a staple part of the channel, and I can only hope that if we get a new season of Ready to Love, the mainline show, between going to some place that isn't in the South, maybe mixing things up and not having Tommy, and getting people who mentally, emotionally, and financially are ready to love, rather than just people who can potentially make good TV, I hope there's a bit more serious going on, because I really, and I think I'm not alone in this, I really want to see people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, beyond, who are black, finding love as an aspirational, inspirational, whichever way you want to put it, especially since black love isn't on anymore. But this show is just making it seem like no matter what age you are, it's ghetto out there, and it doesn't get better no matter if you're a man or a woman.